thank you so much for joining This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno.
And I'm Frederick Njiri.
We're live on Family TV, also live on Family Radio, where the music does the talking. Tunaangalia nini, Fred?
Well, today was budget day, and if you basically do online business, you need to prepare to start paying taxes, and I'll be telling you more about that. Plus, there's a man who's gone to the Judicial Service Commission, is now seeking the removal of the Chief Justice, David Maraga, claiming the gross misconduct. So we'll be looking at this, plus a couple of other stories that will definitely move your heart. Treatment of children in hospitals, and many more.
All right. 0786-316-316. That is the WhatsApp number. SMS line 20316 on Facebook and Twitter at Family Radio 316. Join our discussion today.
All right. Let's start with the ching-ching. The budget today, where the money hits the flow. Treasury CS Ukur Yatani today presented the 2.79 trillion 2020-2021 budget in Parliament, with a theme centered around safeguarding the livelihood of Kenyans and recovering the economy, which has been adversely affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Yatani focused on the Big Four agenda and President Uhuru Kenyatta's 8-point economic stimulus program. He also proposed a number of taxation, including digital service tax, to generate income for the country. Education and Interior Ministries were the highest beneficiary, with 497.7 billion and 167.9 billion allocated respectively to the two ministries under CS George Magoha and Fred Matiang'i. The ability of the government, however, to raise the needed revenue to fund the budget is still in question.
It's a great honor to present to this August House and to the country the highlights of the budget for the financial year 2020-21. I do this in performing my fiduciary duty and fulfillment of the requirements of Section 40 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and the Standing Order number 241 of the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, in February 2020, we submitted to this House the 2020 budget policy statement. During that time, our financial projections assumed a normal operating environment. The economy was projected to grow by 6.1% in 2020, which was an improvement from 5.4% in 2019. Indeed, we had set on a conscious journey of fiscal consolidation. The global outbreak and the rapid spread of the COVID-19 pandemic has led to the contraction of the global economy with disastrous consequences. The pandemic and the attendant containment measures aimed at saving lives have disrupted the business environment, including international trade, leading to loss of livelihood for millions of people globally. Mr. Speaker, Kenya has not been spared. Evidently, the pandemic and the swift containment measures, including the closure of the airspaces and borders, curfews and cessation of movements in some counties, among others, have not only disrupted our ways of lives and livelihoods, but to a great extent, business.
Well, it's actually the first time Mr. Yatani is delivering the budget, and it's interesting and very encouraging that it's a bit lower compared to what we had last year.
Yeah, considering the times we're in, and in fact, if you listen to the budget, one of the things that I noticed is that he did not tell, you know how in the past budget speeches you've had the expenditure, current expenditure, and then the revenue, and how he's going to raise taxes or raise the revenue. Today he didn't focus much on that. He just said that the government is going to look for external resources, funding, but being very careful about the kind of external funding that he was talking about, because he said the government is going to move away from what you call commercial loans and now focus on concessional loans. Commercial have been the source of our problems in as far as loans are concerned. So didn't focus much on how he's going to raise, apart from some of the things that he brought up now, including including the 1% taxation on online businesses. So it's a difficult time, but let's see how this is going to go.
Well, and with the pandemic, so many people are actually going online to do their businesses. It's a digital platform that has not been taxed for quite some time. No licenses are needed. But with the taxation of these digital services, then that means a person must register and liaise with the KRA so that taxation is done. So this is more requirement, especially for those who are doing digital platform businesses.
Very true. Maybe they'll come up with a framework of the kind of how this is going to be done. I think maybe when Parliament is debating the budget speech, that will also be one of the things that they will look into. But you're right, quite a number of people, with over 1.7 million people, Kenyans, losing their jobs. Most of them have gone to the online platform to see whether they can be able to do something, and I guess it's going to affect quite a number of people.
All right, that brings us to the question of the day, and we are asking, do you think it's right for them to introduce the taxation of digital services tax for all the online platforms? Is it right to introduce this taxation of 1% during this pandemic, now that many people are now focusing online? 0786 316 316, that is the WhatsApp number. SMS line 20316. Now let us look at the situation in our country and regarding to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now another 121 people have tested positive of the virus today, and now that brings the total number of confirmed cases in Kenya to 3,215. Now this was actually delivered to the newsrooms by a statement from the CS Mutahi Kagwe, CS for Health, and he said that 3,291 samples were tested, but an additional 44 patients were discharged, and that raises the number of recoveries to 1,092. On a sad note, however, 3 more people have succumbed to the disease, and now it brings the total of those who've died because of COVID-19 to 92 in our country. Well, that's very sad there.
Yeah, during this period, one of the things that is also happening, the country is dealing with quite a number of things, including the locust invasion, and quite a number of people had said that they would have wanted to see more money being allocated to the agriculture sector, so that we see at least 10%. To see how we can be able to recover even during this period and be able to produce food to feed this country. These are some of the thoughts that some of the people gave today. Is in another zone.
Well, but it's really important. Agriculture, what we call uti wa mgongo of our economy, know, and when it's not taken care of, then there might be a very big problem there. Joseph from Kiserian, and he's saying, praise God, Sarah and Fred, taxation is a citizen's obligation. However, there should be proper regulation in terms of the size, services offered, and productivity of the business. I also think the government should be considerate on the individuals who've just joined the online working platform. It takes time before one can build a good source of income. Taxation should be tuned to the bigger businesses and not the common mwananchi. I like his view.
One of the other things that is going to be implemented on taxation is a turnover. Whether your company is making profits or not, there's a turnover tax that has also been passed of 1%. Yeah. So every company, every person who's doing business will be paying taxes 1%. I hope people, the taxation will be used for a good cause. Yes.
We also have Vincent Mulinge from Thika. In order to tax online businesses, because it's in order, that is, to tax online businesses because they are profit making, but the government should consider institutions like the family media, which are non-profit making and should not be classified like NGOs. Ametukumbuka. Thank you so much, Vincent. Esi Kimenyi, Mtapewa nini customers, you're welcome. She's actually welcoming us. Well, thank you so much and welcome to This Is the Day. Zipporah Mololo, thank you so much for tuning in today.
You know, Sarah, on a daily basis, for the better part of this week, I had purposed. Look, I was firm like cement that on every day I was going to give a positive story about the police. But there's something that happened, I think on Sunday, but it came to the spotlight yesterday of a police officer who actually tied a woman at the back of a motorcycle and dragged her for, for quite some distance, ending up breaking her leg and her hand, and you can imagine the kind of injuries that she suffered. And it just took the dignity out of this woman, and so today I decided I was going to go sabbatical on the police for a while. So I'm not going to give any of those in honor of this lady. Then tomorrow probably we'll see how I'll be feeling and see whether I'll give a positive story on the police.
Tell us about Maraga. You know, some development in that story now.
This thing is just rolling down like a big stone downhill, because now the Judicial Service Commission has been petitioned to remove Chief Justice David Maraga on grounds of gross misconduct and misbehavior. The petition, drafted by a gentleman called Timothy Odhiambo, seeks to have the Chief Justice bundled out of office, citing a breach of the Judicial Code of Conduct. The petitioner noted that while the Chief Justice is entitled to his right opinion, his public attacks on the President had gone against the Judicial Code of Conduct and Ethics. This, as different branches of the Law Society of Kenya came to the defense of the CJ.
Besides, it's a matter of public knowledge that there has been an increase on occasions where the executive has intentionally disregarded a number of court orders directing them to do or not or refrain from doing certain acts. The Attorney General he indicated that there was no disobedience of any court orders relating to the Kariobangi demolitions. And all of us did see on social media the order and subsequent demolitions that happened. This was a failed attempt to sanitize the illegal acts of the executive. Wish to firmly remind the President and the executive at large to respect the sanctity of the Constitution which the people of Kenya gave themselves, lest we join the list of other heads of states who stumbled upon the judiciary.
You remember we had talked about this, it's like husband and wife taking their fights to the public, the executive and the judiciary. Now this thing is rolling, it's developing a life of its own. Now somebody has petitioned the JSC to have Maraga removed from. Let me ask you.
I saw that coming. Okay.
What do you think after seeing all this? Should he go? Do you think the JSC should grant this gentleman his petition?
I think it's a matter that should be looked into. He didn't just come from nowhere. So I'll leave it at that. In talking about people who should go home or not, well, the Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru has suffered a major blow after the case she had filed challenging her impeachment was dismissed. Now, Justice Weldon Korir declined the overturn of the impeachment of the Kirinyaga Governor, ruling that the MCS did not violate any court order. Now, remember on Wednesday, while she was moving to court, Waiguru claimed that the impeachment was unlawful. This is because the High Court had temporarily stopped the assembly proceedings over the COVID-19 pandemic. She was impeached after 23 MCAs out of the 33 in the county voted her removal, while only 6 abstained. Kirinyaga residents, however, took to the streets today, urging the Senate to send their governor home.
Tunamuomba rais wetu kwa sababu katika ajenda zake nne, moja ni ya kumaliza ufisadi. Kwa hivyo angalia Senate zaidi, kwa vile Senate ndio inaweza kutuokoa, kwa sababu kaunti imetuokoa. Na tunataka ili tulinganishe mambo ambayo imetoka Kirinyaga County Assembly ilingane na ile ya Senate. Kwa hivyo Senate ndio tunangoja ituokoe.
Well, watu wa Kirinyaga wanasema it's time their governor goes home.
There's a lot of politics.
I know. Well, let's wait and see where this goes.
Somebody said we need to become the change that we want to see. And I think if we walked the way we are supposed to walk, then we will see the change that we want to see.
Well, Remy Kipchirchir, on the topic of today, he actually says, good evening. This is the day on the topic of today, on the budget on taxation of those who are doing businesses online. It is a big shame. I know for one, those who are doing online on businesses, they might end up struggling to meet the demand and meet their targets for their businesses, as they are geared towards boosting sales and making profits. And two, what about those who are entering for the first time or still small-scale businesses on online platforms? It will be a tough session up ahead, and we soon will be heading like Uganda, where businesses remit some tax back to the government. Hence, I ask Jamini, I hope this money will be put into good use. Well, thank you so much, Remy. We also have Kevin from Manyanja Road. Good evening, Kwanza. Loving the impeachment of Waiguru from office. Shows you that the wheels of justice might be slow, but they finally catch up with you. On the budget here. On the budget, I feel like it's fair on the 1.5% on the online businesses, but I feel like we are such a wealthy nation. If only we concentrated on the agriculture, we can service most of our loans and export, because if Israel can export their agricultural produce and make revenue, and remember the land is more of a desert, why not us?
True.
I like that. Kevin Dyer from Manyanja Road. We also have Esi Kimenyi, who is saying, on the taxation, it's all right if it's on profit. However, if the amount will be very small versus the cost of collection, we don't have to collect tax uneconomically. And she goes ahead and says, ha ha ha, didn't they know Honorable Waiguru before they voted her in? Oh my God, thank you so much for your responses there. We also have Martin Dungu is saying the wrangles continue in government, we just watch.
It's a movie.
Joseph from Kiserian, asante sana pia for tuning in today.
All right, this is very disturbing. It's a family from Kidangadeni. That's in Machakos. I hope I said it right.
Yes.
Kidangadeng. Okay. Machakos County, which is seeking justice after their 8-month-old baby's arm was amputated following a botched injection. Now, the unfortunate event started when Mercy Kioko took a baby, Roxana Ndunge, to Mitaboni Level 3 Hospital after developing pneumonia complication. After the injection, she was handed some medication and later referred to Machakos Level 5 Hospital, where she was attended to and admitted. The arm was later amputated in two stages, with the first being the cut and then second being the sewing up 4 days later.
Nikamwonyesha mkono after amempatia dawa ameenda kwa attention watu wengine, nika notice mkono ya mtoto iko very white, nika compare na nyingine, niko na kuna different vidole mpaka zimefura, mkono imefura. Ndio nikamuita tena, nikamwonyesha mkono, akaluze hizo bandage, akaniambia maybe ni flow ya damu yendi kwa sababu hapa hivi imekazwa. Saka kuluze na kaniambia nikae kama nimemassage na mkono, nikae kama nimebendisha ndio damu tuone kama ita flow. The point si kujua kama ni daktari ama ni nurse, koza wako na bandage ya jina ku differentiate the nurse and the doctors. Nikaambiwa nitafute 1000 ya ambulance inipeleke Kenyatta na nitafute relative niende na yeye. Sasa nikashindwa. How comes mistake niona wananiambia nitafute 1000 ya ambulance. Ndio wakaniambia mtoto according venye yako tutamwanzisha medication ama amputation, ndio tuone pali mkono imeharibika na pali enye tutasave. Theater ilifika, akafanyiwa operation, alienda theater 2 times. round 1 akaenda akakatwa, alafu round 2 akapelekwa after like 4 days akapelekwa tena mkono ikashona.
Well, that is the story of a sad mother there.
True.
We have so many cases of this, and I would like to call them negligence, you know.
It's true.
And it's just unfortunate that we have, for lack of a better word, some careless people out there who are joking with the lives of especially children.
And it's true. I know we have quite a number of good nurses and good medics who are doing a great job, and mostly so during this period, the COVID-19 period. But at the same time, we have people who are just careless. I have a friend, she gave birth, and the moment when the baby was being taken from her, because, you know, once you give birth, the baby has to be taken, I think, washed or something. So the way the nurse handled the arm of the baby, later on they discovered that the hand was damaged, and now she's well, probably almost 15 years old, but the arm, even after a number of operation, the hand cannot be straightened. So there are quite a number of good people in the medics, but at the same time there are people who are just negligent, but they should not mess up the name of
the good medics.
Yeah.
Well, still talking about children now, the privacy and protection of children and protracted cases continue to pose a challenge in delivering justice for children across the country. Now, to remedy the situation, the National Council for Children's Service want the judiciary to be more sensitive to ensure a child-friendly justice system.
Like for matters of time taken to handle cases that are reported by children, and how available that the judiciary could be to reach our children, and the privacy and protection of children once they have to report their cases, to alert the judiciary to be more sensitive on how children issues are handled in courts, and even how their cases are handled. There are many areas that need improvement.
It's also worth to note that the government is in the process of developing a new statute for children that is not only fully aligned with the provisions of the Constitution, but also addresses emerging issues in the children's sector.
Well, elsewhere, thousands of civil servants across the country are set to undergo a training program aimed at improving their skills and competence in countering violent extremism and terrorism. National Counter-Terrorism Center Director Dr. Martin Kimani says that the State Department has partnered with the Kenya School of Government to ensure the country is secure from the threat of terrorist attacks by educating the public on counter-terrorism measures.
We've launched an initiative that formalizes an ongoing collaboration that aims to build competent government in the fight against terrorism by training many cadre of public servants in the counties, in the national government, across ministries and departments, in how to understand the threat, how to detect the threat, and what to do once they've detected the threat. That even as we are fighting the coronavirus, Kenya's enemies are still actively trying and planning to harm Kenyans. And so the government and all the security agencies have maintained a high level of alert to be able to detect and disrupt the plots of our enemy.
The challenge of terrorism is one which requires collaboration and partnership in dealing with it, in containing, controlling, and eradicating it, in order to pave the way for a peaceful environment in which development can take place.
Well, in a short while, I'll tell you what KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli is saying about your story about impeaching Waiguru and many other people who have responded to the same. But right now, you remember I'd talked about when we started off with a budget speech and some of the things that would need to be put in place. We had an opportunity to speak to an economist, Chendo Musyoka, about basically the budget speech and how it's going to affect us and what needs to be done. And this is what he had to say, because stima ilipotea nyumbani. So he had to get out of the house and give us that interview.
All
Here
right.
goes.
We are looking at what will be the health budget
Yes.
because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Its implication has completely thrown the economy into, I think, territories that may not be known, they may never have experienced before.
Yes.
In this situation, we expect the government to take the lead.
Yes.
Government. We are talking the government, including the county government, in reviving the economy.
Yes.
So we expect stimulus. The stimulus for CMEs is a good, SMEs is a good thing.
Yeah.
Giving it, and also the job creation, 5 billion.
Yes.
But I think the county governments should also start stepping. Also with their own stimulus budgets.
Okay.
Generally, governments drive economies out of depression.
Yes.
One way of doing it is public works.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot that particularly the people called vulnerable could do.
Yes.
Building roads.
Things like, construction and having manual labor?
Yes, labor-intensive activities.
Yes.
Like building rural roads.
Yes.
Even in Nairobi city, employ people to clean the rivers around the city.
Yes.
And let them make money, let them repair roads in the slums, let them build roads in the slums.
Yes.
It will be for their benefit. So if we can give contractors to do small labor-intensive activities, especially in public works, that could revive it.
I also noted that the CS was telling the county governments to make sure that they pay pending bills before the end of this month. How important is that?
Paying pending bills puts money in the pockets of suppliers,
Yes.
particularly contractors, and
Yes.
therefore means they can pay or pay off their own debts,
Yeah.
and that has a ripple effect.
Yes. Now, yes. Go on, Chendo.
If they pay suppliers their own debts, then suppliers will pay their debtors, and it continues that way, creating, stimulating demand for local products.
So, of key importance.
Demand that drives it.
So, of key importance right now is to get money to the people so that people can start spending again.
Yes.
Okay. And
because there have been
go on.
A lot of jobs have been lost.
Yes.
And the factory and the private sector may not recreate those jobs faster because that depends on demand for their produce.
Yes.
So it's the government that can create that sort of demand by financing labor-intensive public works.
Yes.
Then that will put money in the hands of in the pockets of the vulnerable groups, which of course are some of the largest consumers in the country.
Yes.
And they will consume. Then that will rejuvenate demand in the local market.
All right. And what about now the kawaida ordinary mwananchi? What are some of the things that are being put forth that will cushion the ordinary mwananchi, maybe the middle class for that matter, from the vagaries of COVID-19?
The middle class is always in trouble. It is not easy to support.
Yes.
It's not easy to support. So the middle class is supported by productivity within the economy.
Yes.
I think they will have, they are the people who have suffered with salary cuts and that sort of negative effects of the COVID-19.
Yes.
They can trudge along for a while, but the government should go to the vulnerable. You know, ours is generally a kadogo economy.
Yes.
The guys who buy sugar for 10 bob,
Yeah.
those who buy 10 shillings worth of tea leaves.
Yes.
So these are the people you should target. Create jobs for them. They start consuming, and that will have a ripple effect on the middle class, because once their employers pick up, they can negotiate their salaries.
Yeah, true. I've also noted that things like maize have been exempted from VAT.
You cannot tax. I mean, maize is a staple food. Yeah, taxing it is literally telling the consumer, actually is killing demand for maize products.
Yes.
So it cannot be done because maize has no substitute. For example, if you say gas prices go up, people can go to kerosene or back to fire with charcoal.
True.
But how about if we raise the price of maize? What do they go for? But it's still the cheapest staple food.
Yeah.
Compared to other things like rice and wheat flour.
Now, in a bullet form, do you think that the government will be able to achieve the target it has set for revenues to fund its budget?
Well, it will be tough. It depends on how soon the economy picks up.
Yes.
But if it doesn't pick up for the first quarter of the next financial year, I think they will miss their targets by a wide margin. That will mean some borrowing, either from the domestic market or the foreign market, but mainly the domestic market through T-bills and T-bonds.
Yes.
But depending on how soon we end up, we are confident that we are well past COVID-19.
Yes.
The targets will not be easy to achieve.
All right.
But anyway, governments must have targets, whether they miss them or not.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Chendo. I'm very sure you're going to consume more of this, and maybe we can pick it up later on so that you can give us now the nitty-gritty and how it's going to affect the wider economy.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right, and Alice from Achako actually joined us, and what she's saying is Shikamo, Sarah, and Fred. Marahaba.
You know, I almost said Marasaba.
You say the executive and the judiciary should not politicize their issues. They should solve them internally because as Kenyans are good at politics, even where we are not necessary or we are unnecessary. We are tired of corruption, and there's no way to fight it except through these hot lessons. Wengine wataogopa. On taxation issues, there are those small-scale businesses that should have been taken care of. This may lead to borrowing, which is more risky. Then we have, let me see, Jose from Kiserian. It's very important. Let me see. It's very important that people also practice their responsibility of using credible health services. I guess she's responding to the story of that lady whose baby's arm was amputated. Unless a person is really deprived financially, they should always seek hospitals that have a history of good service. Government hospitals are well regulated, but so many Kenyans always want to rush to private clinics. Then
Remy?
Yeah.
Remy said something?
Those negligent medics were primarily called to be engineers. They see people like metals, pieces of metals. That's misplaced priorities. Then, I'd told you about the Kotu boss, Francis Atwoli.
Yes.
Now, Atwoli says It is wrong for the Kirinyaga MCS to impeach the first-term governor at a time the BBI is entering the execution stages. He has asked the Senate to save Waiguru so that the BBI activities in Mount Kenya are not interrupted, where he says that Waiguru has been loyal to President Uhuru Kenyatta and has stood behind the activities of the Building Bridges initiative. So what Atwoli is simply saying is save Waiguru for the sake
BBI.
of the BBI.
Wow. That's very interesting there. Well, let's talk about locusts and very far away from that, because I know Remy actually wanted to know what my take is on the Waiguru story. Well, you know, and before tuende kwa locusts kidogo, people have been complaining that for a long time we've been fighting for the 2/3 gender rule, and then now there is Honorable Waiguru who's being accused of abuse of office. But I do not feel like her being a lady should be a hindrance to justice. Kama hajafanya kazi, aende home. But kama amefanya vizuri for the people of Kirinyaga, then justice will surely come around.
True.
Yeah, all right. Well, for a long time we've been battling locusts, but I'll tell you who are celebrating, watu wa Pakistan, and especially chicken. Because these locusts and it's actually 25 years, and it's the first biggest swarm of locusts that has attacked a Pakistan country. And during this time, the chicken in that country are celebrating.
How?
These locusts have been turned into the chicken feed in Pakistan. Brains, you know, and you remember when it was it actually affected Kenya, and Kenyans are saying, ini chakula. This is not an attack. Of course, it has affected our vegetation and all that, but it is still food. Now for Pakistans, it's actually food for chicken. And you're paid if you collect a kg of locusts. You're paid 20 rupees. That is about 28 Kenya shillings and 19 cents.
Oh, that's
it's collected
brilliant
at night.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, the Prime Minister his name is Imran Khan, has actually endorsed this pilot project, and he's saying these locusts, as much as it has hit us hard after 25 years, it's actually a good move, good food for our chicken.
It's protein.
Well, that is some good news there. And we have someone who's actually texted in and say that they want to be a partner. Thank you so much for tuning in, and also for the SMS. Remember, if you want to help us carry the gospel of the Lord and to keep Jesus on the airwaves, and you want to partner with us, just send the word partner to 20316, and we'll surely get back to you and tell you how it goes. Bye.
All right, I want to play you a song. I want to play you a song. This is Mandisa featuring Toby Mac. I know I took Jediel by... today Jediel, I think it's the lunch he took. One of the things he did, just in case you're asking who Jediel is our producer, a very young man.
Yeah.
And today the guy was feasting on a humongous ugali. I think he was anticipating that the budget... maybe Ukur Yatani was going to increase the taxation on maize meal, so he wanted to make sure that he eats as much as he could. Yeah. So he's dealing with that. His system is dealing with that. In fact, today, George Floyd's brother, Philenis Floyd, told House lawmakers that his brother didn't deserve to die for only $20 and called for police accountability and reform, saying, make the necessary changes to make law enforcement the solution and not the problem.
Well, I like that. And talking of that, Michelle Obama actually gave out a speech, and it was a graduation for some online classes. And she said, you know what, you can actually choose where to channel your anger. It can either make you or break you. And we want to end this discussion today by just playing you what Michelle Obama said. But before that, thank you so much for tuning in to This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno.
And I'm Frederick Njiri.
Listening to this, and have a good night.
Anger is a powerful force. It can be a useful force, but left on its own, it will only corrode and destroy and sow chaos on the inside and out. But when anger is focused, when it's channeled into something more, oh, that is the stuff that changes history. Dr. King was angry. Sojourner Truth was angry. Lucretia Mott, Cesar Chavez, the folks at Stonewall, they were all angry. But those folks were also driven by compassion, by principle, by hope. And so they took advantage of whatever resources they had in their own time, thundering from the pulpit and the convention floor, penning letters from a jail cell, standing up for their rights in the face of police violence. They built coalitions with folks like them and different from them. They got fluent in the language of power. They sat down with leaders they disagreed with because they knew that if they wanted their vision to be made real, it needed to be made law. It needed to be voiced not just on the streets, but in the halls of power. It needed to be carried not just by the housekeeper and the shift worker, but by the senator and the congresswoman, and yes, the president of the United States.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.